So as you may have seen, the topics and your teammate or teammates for the team facilitation have been posted in the course announcements. So if you haven't noticed that, go on over there. I tried my best to assign you a topic and a week that was going to work for your schedule. If something has changed or if I made a mistake, please let me know right away and I will help you out with that. As well, nobody had contacted me about really wanting to make sure that they worked with somebody who was local. So I didn't put that into my planning of creating teams, just so you're aware of that. So in this video, I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about kind of the big idea behind what you're doing, what you're accomplishing with this team facilitation, as well as how to get started and how to work with a teammate or teammates at a distance. So let me start with the first one. What is this? What are we trying to accomplish here? So the big idea behind these team facilitations is that it's going to allow your team, to teach somebody else about a specific teaching method or a specific teaching technique. And for the rest of the class, of course, then to learn about those and to have those tools and those methods available to them to use in their own facilitation. So we've been talking about objectives, ways of learning, teaching techniques. These are where we're going to really dig into that teaching technique end of things as we kind of look at that ladder of topics that we've been exploring. So how you're going to approach this. First off, your team is going to actually have the class engage in whatever method you are assigned. So if you are assigned storytelling, we're going to have some sort of lesson that involves storytelling. If you had role play, we're going to do a role play. If you had games, we're going to play a game. So we actually need to, the class as a whole, including myself, we actually need to do the method that you are teaching us. Now, what topic are you going to use for the method? That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter at all. You can do, games that are based on, topics here from class. You can do games based on whatever pets. The topic itself doesn't really matter. It's just a matter that we are actually participating in the method. So that's the first thing that needs to be done. The second thing that needs to be done is you then need to help us to put on our facilitator hats and give us information about your method, about your technique. So that means providing things like what are the best practices for using this technique? How is it most appropriate to use with adults? What are additional resources that somebody who's interested in your technique can go and look at and get more details about? So you're kind of putting together kind of a little mini, probably kind of a cognitive related lesson for us to learn more about how we can use that technique. The third thing that you need to do is you are the facilitators for this session, which means that you're not just, putting a PowerPoint up there and popping out for the week. You are going to be me for your week. So that means that you are in there and you're in charge of helping us through whatever sort of activities and ideas and lessons that we're going through. You and your teammate will be the one to really drive that and to facilitate that. The final thing that you need to do is you'll be putting together a lesson plan. And that is where you're able to show me how you're able to connect all of the dots, all of the things that we've been talking about and learning about this semester into a single lesson plan. So that's going to have your objectives. It's going to have your ways of learning, your facilitation technique. It's going to have some things we haven't talked about yet, learning transfer, student motivation. You're going to put this all into a nice little written lesson plan. And it'll be a synthesis of how you can, in one small lesson, put together everything that we've learned about. So that is what you and your teammate are creating. I'm happy to continue, and I will continue to provide help for you on this and answer questions and ongoing guidance because, these are several weeks before we actually start these, but hopefully that'll give you at least an idea of what this whole thing is about. Okay, so the second thing I want to address is how you're going to work with a team at a distance. So let me give you there's a lot of ways to approach this. Let me give you a couple of things that'll help you get started. First off, please reach out to your teammate or teammates right away. Introduce yourself, just say hi so everybody kind of, has at least an initial connection. Do that right now. Send an email. It'll take you 30 seconds. The second thing, which I think is critical to do, is to set up an initial meeting with your team in real time. So whether it's Zoom or FaceTime or however you prefer to do things, I think it's really critically important that for at least that first one that you have real-time connection, that you're not trying to arrange things with, random emails going back and forth. During that first meeting, the things I would suggest that you do are to talk about how you're going to continue to communicate. Are you going to set up, a half an hour Zoom meeting every Tuesday afternoon? Are you going to, does everybody have to check in once a week? Whatever it may be. If you set those parameters early, and it's going to be a lot easier then for everybody to know what the expectations are, when they need to do things, how they need to communicate. So those are the things I would definitely suggest doing at the first meeting. If you are ready to go forward from that, at that first meeting, you can start to dig into how you're actually going to plan and put this together as well. But, that might be in a second meeting or something like that. In terms of how you actually put this together, everybody doesn't have to do everything. So maybe you'll find that one person is really excited to come up with that activity, right? How you're going to actually have the class participate in your method. Somebody else is really excited about creating the lesson plan. That's fine. You can divide and conquer. You can also work on things simultaneously. None of that really matters to me. It should be how you and your team work best together. And then I am always here, and I highly encourage people to reach out to me and say, okay, here's where we are in the process. How do you think it's going so far? Here's the questions that we have. So again, you're not kind of just struggling and just wondering how to do things correctly. Reach out to me. You do need to send me everything at least 1 week in advance of when you are assigned to do your team facilitation. And then I will let you know, okay, yeah, this looks good. Or, you kind of missed this, and you'll then have, and I'll get that turned around to you really quick, but then you'll have that last week to kind of put the finishing touches on things. At a minimum, that's when you need to contact me, but contact me as much as you want beforehand. Okay, so to start with, just say hi to your teammate or teammates. Try to set up that initial meeting with them, and yeah, you can get going at any time on this work.